Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me, and happy Labor Day to begin with. And we are here to talk about the things that caught my attention, caught the attention of the football world the most. And that's, of course, beginning with the extremely exciting 3-3 draw of Barcelona and Inter, where Dumfries, Yamal, Raphinha had no worthy additions and inputs to make, their values to add. I'm going to be talking about Carlo Ancelotti's situation at Real Madrid. I'm going to be talking about um, an Indian who signed for the Premier League, and I'm going to be touching about the transgender ban, which the English FA has recently enforced, and a bit more of my thoughts on Arteta and a comparison with Arne, some thoughts on Arsenal and PSG, some thoughts on the football philosophy which is going on these days. So let's jump into it all. And let's start with the thrilling 3-3 game, which happened where the standouts were Dumfries with two goals, two early goals, Yamal, who had a brilliant moment in the 24th minute. It was almost Messi-like. Raphinha's goal, and yeah, so Inter started really well, but of course the defense gave away three goals, just as Barcelona did. And one noteworthy moment which caught my attention was Rafinha's goal and the statistic behind it, which was that it was his 20th goal and assist in a single Champions League campaign. And the campaign hasn't even been done yet. What's noteworthy about this is that he has surpassed Lionel Messi's record of 20 goals and assists. He has matched it and surpassed it. Now, it beckons the question how attacking, how goal scoring the game has become. Has it lost that value of defensiveness? Are goals more sought after than clean sheets, brave tackles, slide tackles, saves from the keeper? So it was all coming down to that. My question here is this. My thoughts on this are that the game is becoming more goal oriented. Interesting, very interesting. 3-3 draw, all to play for the second leg, and with no away goal rules, we just don't know how it's going to be. Who's going to be the final for Barcelona and Inter, as we don't know with Arsenal and PSG, because the scoreline looks um, very open. To be honest, 1-0 for PSG. But of course, it's just 1-0, and this is football, so anything can happen. But what I took away from the game was that the performance by Arsenal was subpar, and the fans were also criticized. They were not as vocal when they were facing PSG as they were with Real Madrid. Maybe that's the kind of reflection even the players had. They were not as challenging themselves against PSG. Was the win against Real Madrid on the back of their minds? Maybe. One can argue. And there was something that I also picked up about Arteta, his comments in the recent press conference, where he said that he's 100% convinced of his style of play and that he does not obsess over the opposition. He does not change his style of play against the oppositions. And it got me thinking, is this something that has been holding him back in the recent years from domestic to the European level? Perhaps, and you can argue that. When you look at someone like Arne Slot for Liverpool, we have noticed how in the first half he observes every team, every opposition, how they set up, how they're attacking, how they're defending, and that's when his team reacts. Once they understand, once they learn from the opposition the task at hand, you can have all the data from the previous matches against your oppositions. You can have all the ideas of play from the opposition in the previous games. But what happens in real time, what happens then on the field, is something the opposition has clearly a game plan for. But then that's the genius of Arne Slot or Liverpool, that they wait to understand the opposition, how they're playing this day, and that's how they react. And if you've seen Liverpool this campaign, They were better than all the teams managed who were saying we have a clear style of play and we will stick to that. And there were so many examples, right from Pep Guardiola, Ange Postecoglou, Enzo Maresca, Mikel Arteta, all of them convinced that, hey, we're going to play a certain way no matter what the results. And this is the process. The players are going to learn, they're going to learn. But they didn't challenge Liverpool at all this season. Liverpool, with a manager like Arne Slot, they were just reacting. They were just learning, reacting accordingly. Props to them. Props to Arne Slot. And this is what I observe with Mikel Arteta and his kind of stubbornness as well. It's time to adapt. It's kind of prudence of learning from the first half and how to react in the second. And it shows. Slot is the only manager. He has been flexible. Say from Nottingham Forest performance, I really have not dived deep into how Santos works with this philosophy. Does he change? Does he not? They have overperformed, so right now we don't even need to go into analyzing them. They have overperformed and they're doing fantastic. They're doing excellent for what they have achieved. So, coming back to Arsenal and PSG, of course, the scoreline suggests that both of the teams are in the tie. They can reach the final. And it might be a tight one because PSG have been better than Arsenal in performance, but it's just only 1-0 that they could manage away from home. At home, their fans are really up for the challenge, hopefully, and they recognize that Arsenal is not performing well. Their players are not taking it seriously. At least that's what they did in the first half. The second half, hopefully, Arteta recognizes the challenge more than the challenge of his style of play. That it's a final at stake. It's the first time in so many years that they can reach the final, that they have a good team. They have to believe in themselves, of course, and they have to understand that the opposition needs to be respected. Luis Enrique, on the other hand, he's doing a better job. And now let's go on to Carlo Ancelotti's situation with Real Madrid and Barcelona. Brazil. What is happening there? So there was a verbal agreement between Carlo Ancelotti and Brazil to be a match. There was a verbal agreement that Carlo Ancelotti will manage Brazil. And what has happened since? The deal has kind of stalled. Now, as Fabrizio Romano reports, it's in kind of a danger or a stalled stage, and it's the negotiations are happening. So I want to understand this better and say that hey, this is not a deal in danger. This is not a deal which has stalled. In fact, this is the very, very process where the deal is evolving, where the deal is being negotiated. And that's the business deal. That's the essence of a business deal. Right now, the situation is that according to the contract of Carlo Ancelotti, there is no mention, no clause which says that what happens to the compensation fee that Real Madrid has to pay Carlo Ancelotti should he leave on his own terms before uh, his contract expires in 2026. His contract runs till 2026. There's one more year. Now, if Real Madrid had to fire Carlo Ancelotti, they would have to pay 1 full year of his salary. But since he has offers from Brazil, from Saudi Arabia, and he wants a lucrative deal, like normal people do, there is a stage of negotiations between both sides. As it happens, Carlo Ancelotti would obviously want the full amount of 1 year left. Since he is not being fired, since Real Madrid is still not liable to pay for the full year because they're not firing him. He wants as much money as possible. Real Madrid obviously want to pay as less money as possible. So this is where the deal currently is. This is where the negotiators are doing their thing. So no clause that states if he were to leave on his own accord, then Real Madrid is liable to pay. There's nothing like that. As I understand, the deal is not in danger. It is a like any other business deal, and it is in the stages of negotiations. What is clear that Ancelotti wants some compensation, and Real Madrid want to keep it as low as possible. Now, there's another piece of signing which is happening, and this is for the Premier League. It's coming from the Premier League, and there's something to celebrate for us Indians, in fact, in the Premier League. Saransh Goila, a chef from India, has announced today that it is his Goila Butter Chicken Company and Fulham that have formed a partnership. And if I may say so, thank you, Fabrizio. Here we go. It's Saransh Goila to Fulham, Piers Market for his butter chicken. Here we go. This is, of course, a matter of pride for Saransh from Delhi. It's a big deal, and I would like to take a moment to congratulate him for his hard work in his field, his his great dishes, which are always so delicious. And into the match day footballs, he will be providing butter chicken integrated with the Premier League culture from June. So congratulations, Aransh, once again, and a matter of great pride. Thank you. Now, I want to touch upon another news which is coming out of England, which is that today English FA has announced that they will ban all transgender women from any level of women's football, enforced starting from June 1. And this is because the UK Supreme Court decision that legal definition of women is based on biological sex right now. It's obviously disheartening for transgender women. It's seen as a win by people who are adamant that the definition of women is determined by biological sex, and that is where it gets trickier. The FA did put a stricter eligibility criteria in April that could allow transgender women from playing, but today's from the recent updates by following the United Kingdom's Supreme Court, this decision has been taken off the table. And while there's surely going to be a debate about, which will be rooted in old ideas and new ideas, right now there is ambiguity. Uh, Confederations, until such that has significant influence on the English FA or the regional FAs, because they have no influence right now themselves, because FIFA is in under a 3-year review of the policies to build around this situation, which is why the regional FAs have to follow the sports code. This is the situation right now. So the question now goes to the question now goes to policymakers and researchers in relevant spaces with a bit of data here. There are 11.8 million people who are registered to play in England, with around 30 transgender women. If they are forbidden to play with this rule, is it the end of their career? Another question is that the opposition has always used is, do they really get unfair advantages from their procedures and criteria of number of chromosomes, which is always under contentions? Transgender athletes have claimed and they have proven that they are under chromosome limitations prescribed to be able to be accepted as a fair categorization and integration as a woman. I'm no expert here, but right now it will take a biological sports researcher in this field and someone who works here to be able to identify what exactly is fair in this space or not. It will take a collaboration between biological researchers in the sports and policy advocates. And this is where we are in the football world. These are the top news which I really wanted to share with you all. And hopefully, you have a nice Labor Day free day ahead. Enjoy, and I'm out.